Hello dear students, this is your biology teacher Poppy Barik Sakya. Welcome you all to the online platform of biology class. You will have two biology classes per week, that is on Wednesday and Friday. All of you know that there are 6 chapters of biology, but for the information of those students who are unaware on this, that life process is the first chapter. Then second one is control and coordination. Third one is how do organism reproduce. Then heredity and evolution. Next one is our environment. And the last chapter is your natural resources regarding conservation. So these are biology chapters of your science book. In the first term, that is before half yearly, we will finish 3 chapters, that is life processes, control coordination, and our environment. So today we are going to start the first chapter, that is life processes. All of you know that life process means the processes, the activity which are taking place within the body of the living organism or the life organism having the life. Okay, so different kind of activities are going on inside our body. All of you know, like we take breath, inhale oxygen, exhale out carbon dioxide. Then digestion or breaking down of food particle take place within our body. We excrete out the unnecessary substances from our body. So that way different activities are going on within the body of the human being. Like that way, in case of other organism like plant, they also have different activities, different processes are going on within their body. So together all these activities or processes are considered as life processes. That means different kind of activities which are taking place within the body are considered as a life process. Now let us discuss in which point of view organism can be considered as living or non-living, whether they have life or not. So the main important criteria to decide whether something is alive is the movement. Along with the visible movement, non-visible or cellular tissue level movement is also responsible for all life processes. That means movement or changing of places is considered as a prime criteria, main criteria to decide whether something is living or not. Like we can move, another organism like birds, other animals also can move, isn't it? So this kind of movement are known as visible movement, changing of place which we can see, considered as movement, visible movement. So from this visible movement, this kind of organisms are considered as a living organism. They are alive. Likewise, plant is also a living organism, but they do not have, like they do not show any movement. Visible movement is not found in case of plant, but they shows non-visible or cellular tissue level movement. For example, like you are familiar with the touch-me-not plant. So if you touch the leaf of the touch-me-not plant, what happens? The leaf closes and it droops down, isn't it? After sometimes it again come to the original position. So that way some non-visible movement are also there which we cannot see. The growth and development of a plant, that is also non-visible movement. So that kind of movement are shown by the plant which are not visible, which are found in the cellular or tissue level. So from this kind of movement, plant is also considered as a living. Okay, so the movement must be there for an organism to be considered as a living organism. So this was about the living organism. From the example you can see the birds, they are flying, that means movement is there, visible movement is there. So from that criteria we can consider that these are the living organism. But what about the books? They are not visible. Even non-visible movement are also not found in books. So from that criteria we can consider that these are non-living organisms. So the movement is the basic criteria from which we can consider a one organism as a living or non-living. Next, come to the life processes. So already I have discussed that life process means the basic processes which is found in the living organism for maintaining their life. That means without the life process, any organism cannot be considered as a living organism. Life process must continue within the body of the living organism. So under the life processes, four main life processes you need to study. These are nutrition, that means taking of food and getting the energy, that process. Then respiration means why do you take food? To get the energy. But from the food, actually energy is liberated out by oxygen. That means we inhale oxygen. That oxygen is used for the releasing of energy from the food. So that process is known as respiration. That means without nutrition, respiration is not possible. Then the third life process is the transportation. That means carrying of substances. For example, like you know about blood circulation. Through the circulation, blood is carrying different substances within our body. Like the blood carry the digested food from the intestine to different body part. The blood carry oxygen from the lung to different body part, isn't it? So that way, the blood is the substance which is carrying different, which is transporting different substances within our body. The last life process is the excretion, that means removal of unwanted substances. So these are the main basic life processes which are taking place within the living organism. We will discuss one by one about all these life processes. So let's start with the nutrition process. So nutrition means it's a process of taking food by living organism to get energy or to repair the damaged body part or uh, for the growth and development. So for different purposes we need the food, and that taking of food and releasing out of the energy for different purposes which is taking place within the body of living organism is known as nutrition. And there are two modes of nutrition. The first one is autotrophic nutrition, which is taking place within the green plants. That means green plant have a particular pigment which is known as chlorophyll, due to which the green plant is capable of producing their food. That's why the green plants are considered as autotrophs, and the mode of nutrition found in green plants are known as autotrophic nutrition. Next is heterotrophic nutrition. Hetero means dependent. That means some kind of organisms are there which cannot synthesize, which cannot produce their food. So obviously they have to depend on the autotrophs or other organism for the food. So they are considered as heterotrophs, and the mode of nutrition is known as heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So heterotrophic mode of nutrition may be of three different types, may be saprophytic, may be parasitic, and holozoic. So saprophyte means like some organisms which feed on the dead organism. For example, the fungus, mushroom. Mushroom is a plant, you know, but they do not have chlorophyll. So they cannot synthesize the food in absence of the chlorophyll. But how they get the energy or food? By absorbing the food from the dead and decaying matter. Normally the mushroom grows in the garbages. Probably you have seen. So that way some living organisms take take the food or nutrition from some dead and decaying matter. So these are considered as saprophyte, and the mode of nutrition is known as saprophytic nutrition. Similar way, parasitic nutrition. Some living organisms are there which feed on another living organism, like mosquito. They suck the blood from another living organism, or the worms found in the intestine of human being, the ticks found in the animal, or the lice found in our hairs. They absorb the nutrition from the living organism. Okay, so this kind of organism are known as parasite, and the mode of nutrition is known as parasitic mode of nutrition. So thus saprophyte and parasite are two different kind of organism. The first one takes the food from dead bodies, another one takes the food from living organism. And the third type of nutrition is the holozoic nutrition. Holozoic means engulfing the food, bringing the food inside the body, digesting the food, then getting the energy from the food. For example, this figure represents holozoic nutrition. This is one unicellular organism. Here you see this is the food particle. It is the cell. Unicellular organism is trying to engulf the food. Ultimately, the food will come into the cell. It will be digested within the cell, and the organism will get the energy. So this kind of nutrition is known as holozoic type of nutrition. Human being also falls under this category because we take the food from the external source. The food goes to into the body. It will be digested. Then we will get the energy. Okay, so thus we are also considered as a holozoic organism. So this was all about the mode of nutrition, autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. Try to memorize the difference between saprophyte and parasite. Now let us discuss about autotrophic nutrition in plant. All of you know that photosynthesis is the process through which the green plant can synthesize their food. Okay, so what were the requirements for the photosynthesis? Oxygen from the air, carbon dioxide from the external source, water from the soil, then sunlight, and chlorophyll must be there in the leaf. So what will happen? In the leaf, the carbon dioxide which is absorbed from the atmosphere will react with the water which is absorbed by the root. Then in presence of the sunlight and chlorophyll present in the leaf, ultimately carbon dioxide and water will react, and that will produce the food for the plant, that is glucose. Along with glucose, oxygen also can be produced. So this is the balanced reaction of the photosynthesis. You have seen in the product side, one molecule of glucose is produced. So how many carbon dioxide or how many water molecule are required for production of one glucose? 6 numbers of carbon dioxide and 6 numbers of water. So they give rise to one molecule of glucose along with 6 numbers of oxygen. So this is the balanced reaction of photosynthesis. Try to memorize it. Now come to the process or the mechanism of photosynthesis. That means what happens actually in the photosynthesis process. All of you know that the water is continuously absorbed by the root. Look at the figure first. The water is absorbed by the root. It will go to the stem. Then it will be available in the leaf, right? Now, in presence of the sunlight during the daytime, this water molecule will be broken down into two different molecules, that is hydrogen and oxygen. Now carbon dioxide will enter to the leaf through the stomata. So that carbon dioxide will be reduced by this hydrogen and oxygen, or the hydrogen and oxygen will react with carbon dioxide and the product will be the glucose. So ultimately glucose will be produced here in the leaf in presence of the splitted water and carbon dioxide. In the previous slide you have seen that along with the glucose molecule, oxygen is also produced. So that oxygen is not required by the plant, that oxygen will be released through the stomata. Understood? So this is a continuous process. Absorption of water, breaking down of the water molecule, then reaction of the carbon dioxide along with the water in presence of the sunlight and the chlorophyll, and ultimate product will be the glucose. Now come to the steps of the photosynthesis, process of photosynthesis. So first what happened? Absorption of light energy by chlorophyll. That means the green pigment which is present in the leaf will absorb the sunlight or light energy. Now conversion of light into chemical energy and splitting of water. That means the sunlight or the light energy will be converted to chemical energy, and water molecule which are available in the leaf will be broken down or splitted into 2 hydrogen molecule and 1 oxygen molecule. Then in the third step, reduction of carbon dioxide by hydrogen to form carbohydrate takes place. That means the carbon dioxide will react with hydrogen ion and oxygen, and ultimately that will produce the glucose, which is C6H12O6. So the photosynthesis is a complicated process which takes place in 3 different steps, like absorption of light, then breaking down of water, and combination of or reduction of carbon dioxide, reaction of carbon dioxide with water. Ultimate product is the glucose. So try to memorize the mechanism. These are the steps. If it is clear to you, you can describe the whole process of the photosynthesis. Now next come to the holozoic nutrition. So under the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, you have to learn about the holozoic mode of nutrition only. Parasitic and saprophytic is not required, but simply you have to memorize the differences and the example of parasite and saprophyte. So let's discuss about the third type of heterotrophic nutrition, that is holozoic mode of nutrition. Holozoic means, already we have discussed that, engulfing the food, bringing the food into the body, then digesting the food within the body and releasing the energy. So the holozoic mode of nutrition actually include 5 different steps. First one is ingestion. Ingestion means taking the food. Next one is digestion, that means breaking down of all complex food into the simpler absorbable form. Then third step is absorption. Digested food is absorbed by the body. Fourth one is assimilation, that is digested food is utilized to release energy. And the last step is the egestion, removing of undigested food from the body. So thus the holozoic nutrition consists of 4 stages. 4 steps: taking of food or ingestion, then the food will go into the body, that means digestion will take place within the body. Digested food will be absorbed by each and every cell in case of multicellular organism. That means digested food will be distributed, that means assimilated towards the body, all the cell will absorb it. And at last what happened? Excretion, that means egestion. Egestion takes place. Some food particle may remain undigested, so naturally those undigested particle has to be removed out from the body. So that process is known as egestion or excretion. So the figure represents these 5 steps. Here you see the cell, unicellular organism. It is taking the food, it is engulfing the food, which is known as egestion. Then the food particle will be digested within the body. Then digested food will be absorbed by the cytoplasm of the cell. Then the cytoplasm will distribute the digested particle to each and every corner of the cell, which is known as assimilation process. And what will happen to the undigested particle? That undigested particle will be released by the cell itself. So that is known as egestion. So that way holozoic mode of nutrition takes place in these 5 different steps. Now let us discuss the holozoic mode of nutrition in respect to the unicellular organism, that is amoeba. So in amoeba also the 5 steps will be followed. Here you see the food particle is coming towards the cell. Then the amoeba, it is unicellular organism. It is a kind of protozoa. The cell membrane is very much flexible, very much it have the elastic nature. That means flexibility is there. So that this flexible cell membrane will develop some finger-like projection which are known as pseudopodia. Pseudo means false, podia means feet or finger. So thus, by formation of the false finger, the amoeba will engulf the food into the body. So that is known as ingestion, engulfing the food particle by the pseudopodia. Next, when the food particle will be there within the cell, it will be available within a vacuole which is known as food vacuole. Within the food vacuole, digestion process will take place. That means the food particle will be broken into simpler substance. So here is the digestion process. Next to the digestion, what will happen? From the food vacuole, digested particle will be absorbed by the cell cytoplasm. Okay, that is known as absorption step. Next to the absorption, what will happen? Assimilation or distribution. That means whatever is absorbed by the cytoplasm, it is distributed throughout the cell. That is assimilation or distribution. And the last step is the egestion. That means whatever food particle left undigested, that will be released by the vacuole to the external surrounding. So that is known as egestion or excretion. So this is about the holozoic nutrition which is found in case of amoeba. Okay. So this is very simple process. It looks simple because it is taking place in case of unicellular organism. Now we are going to learn about the holozoic mode of nutrition found in case of multicellular organism like human being. Okay, so first try to get the concept clearly about the holozoic mode of nutrition with the example of amoeba. Try to make it clear what happens in 5 different stages, 5 different steps of the holozoic nutrition, that is ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and egestion. Okay, so this was all about nutrition process. We have discussed about the autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. Out of heterotrophic nutrition, we have discussed about the simple type of holozoic nutrition which takes place in case of unicellular organism like amoeba. In the coming class, we will discuss about the nutrition in case of human being. So make your conception clear, go through all the slides, go through your book. If you get any problem, if you will have any confusion, you can drop me your confusion or problem in my personal number. So these are your assignment for today. First one, you need to write about the differences between saprophyte and parasite. Then give example which is already discussed in the slide. Then describe about the mechanism of photosynthesis. That means 3 steps are there. You have to write about these 3 steps, what happened there. And the last question is write the process of nutrition in amoeba. That means you have to describe in 5 steps about the holozoic mode of nutrition found in amoeba. You can represent with diagram, 5 different stages must be there, or you can describe the process in 5 points by mentioning 5 different stages. So keep it completed. We'll meet you in the coming class. Thank you all for attending the class.